Okay, welcome everyone to this second iteration of our youth preparation series, hosted by NGO CSW New York's cohort of Global Youth Fellows for Gender Equality. Our youth prep series aims to provide a platform for young voices to share experiences and discuss advocacy strategies in the lead up to the NGO CSW forum in March. So I will pass it off to today's fellows, Elizabeth and Michèle. Take it away, guys. Thanks for hosting.
Thank you, Annabelle. Okay, yeah. Yeah, today we are going to speak about how to fight against gender-based violence in an intersectional and inclusive approach. We are working together with Michèle and Daniella, but sadly Daniella couldn't make it. So today, Michèle and we are trying to try to explain how these matters affects our lives and in a different approach. And I want to start with gender-based violence in person and online. And maybe just to try to make this conversation more dynamic, I don't know if someone have like some idea about what is the difference between gender-based violence in person and online. What do you think it's the difference? Why is it important to start talking about gender-based violence online? And feel free to activate your audio, or maybe just to start with the chat.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, this is Hootie. I just wanted to take this opportunity to jump in since you opened it up. And I love your idea because it is such a small group. We're about 28 to maybe 30 people. People are still joining in. I just want to say that I'm so proud of you all for doing this. And I definitely love the idea of an open discussion group while you also do your own presentation. And I wanted to welcome everybody who came. I am stepping in for Devin and Safira, who left. So I just wanted to also introduce myself. And again, thank you all. I'll stick around for as long as I can, but this is your event. It's youth-led, and wish you all well. So please, anybody on this call, don't be shy. I love that Elizabeth has made it an open discussion, so I'm very interested to hear your interventions. Thank you.
And I think we have some answers in our chat. Isabel Salter says it's different online due to the possibility of anonymity. Yeah, that's true. Mulalo, in person and via digital platforms. Yeah, thank you very much for your contributions. And that's exactly why we are talking about this. I don't know if there is some noise. Avida Jamal, maybe. Yeah, thank you. And we can pass to the next page. Yeah, and one more. Okay, yeah, gender-based violence first, we are going to talk about gender violence. It refers to harmful acts directed against a person or a group of people based in their gender. It has its origins in gender inequality, abuse of power, and the existence of harmful norms. And in the other hand, we have online gender-based violence, and it's when technology is used to commit or aggravate any form of gender-based violence, such as psychological violence or sexual violence. Now, I want to express something that we are worried about, because sometimes online gender-based violence, it's not taken as important as it is. Usually, as we don't have physical, like in physical violence, palpable proofs like direct evidence, like bruises, blood, among others. Otherwise, online gender-based violence have no physical involvement or directly visible findings, but it's another type of affectation. It transcends into our technology body, limit our use of the internet, social networks, and general interaction now that we are always connected and even working online, or even we are having this conversation thanks to the technologies. So it's important to have our rights and to be okay and feel free in internet. And also it affects the relationships with the internet world. Maybe some people feels too much in danger, or maybe it makes them feel uncomfortable, and it of course affects our human rights. For example, in Peru, I am from Peru, I am a lawyer from Peru, and we have the recognition started just in 2018. So these kind of actions were situations ignored by the law, by the government, and they occurred, and self-management and self-care were proposed if you say that you are experimenting this type of violence. And from this year, the existence of gender violence online is recognized by victims that previously had no legal relevance is classified. And the next one, please. Okay, and now I want to explain the rights that are like involved when we are talking about online gender-based violence, like psychological integrity transcends into the technological body, well, like I was talking before. And the second one, please, the next one. And that's the important thing that I want to talk. Now that we know we all use internet to work, to socialize, or to do like our daily activities, do you think, or what do you think can an aggressor do today that he could not do before, or in physical, like how internet helps in some way to say the aggressors to do or to commit gender-based violence? What can an aggressor do today that he couldn't do before? Are there some ideas? Maybe in the chat, or if you want to open your mic, feel free. Isabel Sauter, I think you want to.
Yeah, I guess the aggressor can access the victim in the private sphere of their life, or wherever they are because of that internet access.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's exactly. And also Mulalo, yeah, she is presenting herself. And yeah, that's the perfect way to start this kind of conversation, because the internet features means new technologies serves as tools to exert psychological violence on victims, affecting psychological integrity. And as Isabella said, anonymity and great legal uncertainty in this regard. It means that people can create fake accounts and makes no data related with this kind of accounts. And please, the next one. And now I want to talk about our investigation in this topic. I want to start with viralization. The viralization of content means that some content can be uploaded and reach thousands of people, even outside of our country or residence. The scale of diffusion can be global, and that's related with permanence. Sometimes we don't even know that some content it's global or maybe some people have our content, because in most of cases, we will not have the control of the content that we send or upload, because many times through screenshots and dissemination of content, other people will have certain information without our authorization or without our knowledge. And about the permanence and about the proximity, they don't need to be close to us to commit this type of violence. They don't, as physical based violence, they don't need to stay in the same country, in the same region. It's just with some accounts that they can talk with us or commit crimes online. And also, about the anonymity, the characteristic of the internet allows false profiles to be created without information that can be identifiable. And also, I want to talk about the crimes that we are exposed when we are navigating. And with with this part of our conversation, I don't want to be like some to share some scary information. This is only because we want to make us make us have this knowledge to protect ourselves. So the next one, please. Yeah. And who are the target? Usually, it affects those who are discriminated against based on gender more. This includes cis women and their diversity, people from the LGBTQ+ community, or anybody that exists and expresses itself outside the sexist, patriarchal, and heteronormative guidelines of Peruvian society, but also I think it's around the world. And also gender-based violence online and harassment during electoral times, women who live the historically designed space outside home and the care of the home, maybe, and it happens a lot with periodist friends, and also women leaders, it happens. And also it is supported by other mechanisms of violence, racism, homophobia, transphobia, classism, xenophobia, among others. And the next one, please. And this is important to understand for our governments principally, and I work in an NGO that works with technology and human rights. So we have this phrase like always in repeat, and online gender-based violence is real and not new. There is something that since the beginning of internet and technologies started, and it's happening, but the only difference now is that we are making noise and we are trying to express that it's happening, and that's why our governments and the laws have to protect ourselves from this kind of crimes. And also, the next one, please. And I want to explain what the United Nations Special Reporter said about violence against women. And she said that while many forms of online violence are not completely new, they affect women in a multiple and diverse ways due to the specificity of the types of information and communications technology. That expressed what I was wanting to say about how online violence affects our lives, our interactions with the world. And the next one, please. How can we identify gender-based online violence? The next one, please. Yeah, and now I want to ask some questions to the public. And when you defend your rights, ethnicity, sexuality, or gender identify, do you receive more attacks? Do you feel like there are some people that attack you directly because you are, I don't know, posting something related with women's rights or LGBTQ+ community rights? Do you think like, do you receive more attacks? Or maybe when you photo, do you receive comments that are misogynistic or sexist or that violate your body expression and gender identity? And also, when you publish your social and or political opinions, do they seek to remove your content? And the next one, please. If you answered yes to one or more of these questions, it is very likely that you are experiencing online gender violence in some of its manifestation. Normalization, silence, and not taking this seriously as real effects on our well-being and development are factors that influence us not recognizing it's as such. And we now we have to express how we feel about online gender-based violence, because if we don't try to explain how this affects to ourselves, maybe the situations can make a normal thing that we can't accept that. The next one, please. And Luchadoras, it's a NGO from Mexico, makes a studio in 2017. And they found that there are up to 13 ways to exercise psychological and sexual violence or incite physical violence on the internet. The next one, please. And the report is in Spanish, so if some people from here speak Spanish, they can understand, or if you speak English, I am going to try to make a summarize about what are these expressions. And for example, about harassment is the action of trying to establish contact or closeness with a person who is not willing or does not want to have contact with this person. And we all know that harassment exists in physical world, but some countries, and I think most countries recognize also that it is harassment, online harassment. So we are protected by this kind of laws. And also about sexual harassment, it's like the same verbs, but it's characterized because contact is established for a particular purpose. And this purpose is with sexual connotation. Also, we have sexual blackmail. That's a threat or intimidation to obtain a result, like that the passive subject or victim engages in sexual conduct. For example, and we have these cases a lot, sadly, like some ex-boyfriend who asked her ex to maintain a sexual relationship in exchange for not publishing an intimate video in which she appears. And then I want to explain that there are some tools that Meta and also another social media platforms have to defend ourselves and to prevent this kind of blackmail. Also, the dissemination of intimate images without consent, capture of images, audio, or videos with sexual content with the person's authorization, dissemination, disclosure, commercialization of this audiovisual content with no authorization or permission for dissemination. This is like two types of dissemination. First, it's like with our consent to maybe start capture these images, but this not in another way, like concept the dissemination. So this is a crime. So it's important to know that even if we agreed to capture some images, it doesn't mean that we are agreeing to this dissemination. The next one, please. And there are some rules of coexistence of the platforms we use. The next one, please. Reporting, blocking, and deleting are actions that we can take in the name of our well-being when we browse and engage on the internet. Please, and this is important about our self protection, check the settings of the apps that we use the most and enable the options that suit your needs. For example, Meta or Facebook, I don't know how do you call now this platform, but it has I'm going to type in the chat just to not forget, NCII. And it's a platform that we can upload our photos or content or intimate content that we think or that some people tell us or trying to blackmail us. So if we upload this kind of content, they don't see this content. They create like a digital print, like a digital identity. And then if this person tries to upload this content, they just ban and eliminate this content because they were alerted, like to prevent this kind of actions. And this is super important if we are just if we are experimenting sexual blackmail, it's a tool that can be helpful to prevent these kind of cases. And the next one, please. And this is just to make a final of my presentations and give the floor to Michèle. I want to speak a little bit about cybersecurity, and there are some practices, habits, and configurations that can give us extra security while browsing, even with passwords, even with our personal choices to be a private profile or a public profile. We need to find what works for us, where are like, who are the people who maybe can try to commit gender-based violence, if we are in danger, if we are not, maybe, and it all depends of how we want to manage our accounts, our digital accounts. So it's a personal exam. So depends of what we want, what are we exposed. We need to take several cybersecurity practices, and it would make us be more free and more comfortable navigating on internet. And that's all from me. You can find my email now in the chat if you have some questions or if you want more information about online gender-based violence. And if you have some questions about my presentations, feel free to type on the chat or maybe contact me with my email. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm sorry, I had to stop my camera because I had activated on another device and it was creating an echo. So I'm sorry. I will speak about challenge faced by women with disability. The first point, please next page. Please next. Different form of violence suffered by women with disability. Next. The first thing is that women with disability suffer the same violence as other women, but the vulnerability and dependence induced by the type of disability can exacerbate this form of violence or lead to specific acts such as sexual and psychological violence committed by caregivers, forced abortion, or deprivation of basic necessity. According to the WHO, 20% of women will be victims of violence worldwide. The rate is higher for those with disabilities. It's estimated that 83% of women with disability will experience sexual violence in their lifetime. Next, please. In Africa, this form of violence are exacerbated by cultural, social, and economic challenge that make women with disability more vulnerable. For example, even though things are changing, discrimination against girls with disabilities continue in many families. They are systematically denied access to education. This significantly reduces their chance of employment and financial independence, thereby increase the risk of experiencing violence from adolescents. Data on violence against women with disability is difficult to access. In addition to the fact that this form of violence are rarely reported, data collection is often uneven and does not account for this category of women. Overall, a study next, please. No. Okay. In Africa in general and in Cameroon in particular, one of the barriers faced by women victims of violence, especially sexual violence, is the stigmatization. Either they are not believed or they are humiliated when they report the incidents. What did you expect when you went to that appointment? Are you sure you didn't provoke him? If he beats and takes care of the house and children, then enjoy it. Note that for some women and girls with disability, they consider it normal to experience violence because due to their disability, they feel inferior to others. Please, next. Access to services and justice is even more difficult for women with disability. For example, sign language interpretation is not always available in police stations. Health professionals are not sufficiently trained to provide services that take into account the specific needs of women with disability. Hospitals are not always accessible for women with mobility disabilities, and we have lack of support from immediate environment. Another difficulty is the cost of accessing justice. Next. Solution to combat gender-based violence. To date, numerous initiatives have been taken to fight violence against women. This includes, for example, He for She campaign and the 60 Days of Activism campaign. There are also initiatives specifically dedicated to women with disability, such as We Rise program, Make It Work Gender and Disability Project. Next, in addition to this initiative, we have various actions being carried out by local associations. But Like all women, gender-based violence is likely to affect women and girls with disability more due to the multiplicity of their identities. Women living in war zones, displaced women, women from ethnic minorities, less educated women, financially dependent women, women with disability do not constitute an homogeneous group. Another problem is that there are several types of disability: motor, sensory, intellectual. Some are visible and others are not. It is not always easy to know and understand how to take into account in our action. For example, the needs of a woman with hearing impairment may not necessarily the same need as those of a woman in a wheelchair. So the question is, how can we take into account women with disability in our action? I propose some solution. First is making it mandatory to consider disability initiative undertaken by founded association. Two examples that I like to mention are African Women Development Fund and the WESE Fund. In their grant application form, there is a question about how women with disability are included in your project. I think this is a great example of inclusion policy. And if it were replicated by a majority or all organizations that fund action related to fighting violence, it will contribute to ensuring that this category of women are less marginalized. So now I want to ask you, in your activity, do you take into account women with disability? And if so, how? Thank you.
Thank you very much all for your comments. I don't know if Michèle wants to comment some comments that we have now in our chat group. Mulala, for example, said that in our book club, one of the authors for the monthly reading list is a woman with disability. And we will read her book in November 2024. And also talking about women with disability, I am the founder, Mulalo says, of Empowered Women Book Club. And one of the books we read is The Body is Not an Apology. And a story was shared about how some women with disability let people get away with them because they feel no one would want them with disability. Congrats, Mulalo, that's very inspiring. And now, I don't know if you have some questions, some comments. We try to focuses on our expertise and our expertise topics, like trying to talking about gender-based violence from different perspectives. And we are just trying to explain that gender-based violence is important, and we are not alone. It's not only because of the gender that we belong, it's intersectional, and also maybe we can be discriminated because of our gender, but also there are some topics, some things that makes us more vulnerable, and we try to identify these gaps and challenges in current policies and programs to combat gender-based violence, with this focus on the specific needs of people from marginalized or discriminated groups. And also we also encourage you and try to promote these inclusive strategies and practices for the prevention of gender-based violence, with an emphasis on awareness raising, education, and empowerment of marginalized communities. Mulelo have a questions. How do we create a space that allows young girls and women to share their experience with online gender-based violence before it is too late? That's an excellent question. I think it's kind of hard to have this international or world group, but for example, I know there are some NGOs and civil society that works in these kind of topics in these regards. I know because we from the NGO that I work on, we work with Access Now, Luchadoras from Mexico, Electronic Foundation, and also we know that there are some civil society and NGOs that focuses on technologies and human rights, but they also have these topics, these lines about online gender-based violence. So maybe we can start from there, or start from our knowledge, from our experience, maybe with our little groups. I think it's important to start to talking about this and to try to have cybersecurity actions, and also try to explore what tools we have to protect ourselves, and how we navigate on internet, how can we protect ourselves and also our friends, our family from any kind of crimes. So I think it's up to us to enjoy technologies, but also try to have this careful navigation experience. And don't make me, and I don't want you understand me wrong. I think we have the right to navigate in freedom and in a comfortable ways, but also we have to keep in mind that gender-based violence can happen also in virtual spaces, and we are not as secure, as protected as we think or as we thought. So maybe I think that's the way to start. And if we work with young girls or people who are just starting in this world of technologies, we have to keep this in mind, like to try to make them know what is internet, what are the dangers, what are we like exposed to. Osman Dennis says, I was touched talking about challenges faced by women with disability in Sierra Leone. Most of our institutions totally lack in creating the platform to ensure they are not discriminated physically, socially, and psychologically, and also how to get equal access to opportunities just like anyone. And that's exactly true. we as women have this kind of discrimination, but also if we are women with disability, we have less opportunities, less recognition, and we faced more types of discrimination. So it's important to have this keep in mind. And I don't know if Michèle, you want to add something? Do you want to add something? Or I think we lost Michèle. Or no, she's here.
Do you hear me? Do you understand me?
Hi, Michèle. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, okay. I think it's a reality in many countries that we must fight against together. We must continue to speak about inclusion if we want to see things change. And it's important to work together. People with disability and people without, we don't have disability, I think.
Thank you, Michèle. And also Girl Up CEA says, I have a concern to online gender-based violence. Previous days ago, my friend's picture was leaked on Instagram and being shared legally on Telegram. The moment I have a chat with the person who handled that account, they kind of like asking some money in a huge amount. Hence, the picture will be deleted as soon as I transfer the money. And how do we encounter these cases? Because I firmly believe if I ever transfer the money, the picture will not just be deleted. Yeah, that's true. We can't have the power or the control to know who have this kind of images, even if we like set an agreement with these people, with this person, we certainly wouldn't know or wouldn't have like the believe, like the certainty of they did delete this kind of photos. So maybe I think, and I recommend that you can try the NCII from Meta. And it also affects Instagram, TikTok, Meta, and also Telegram. I'm not sure if Telegram, it's also with this group, but once that you upload this kind of content, they just stopped. They just like try to find this kind of content, like with the digital identity, and they delete by like from the platform. If that's, I think it's helping if we are just worried about that. But otherwise, if they, I don't know, upload in their Google Drive or in an USB or in their computers, we don't have that much power. And depends of the country, we maybe have some crimes that are related with this, like, I don't know, illegally content with computers and also drive of clouds. For example, here in Peru, we have this crime that recognize that if someone has images or content that it's related with our intimacy or private content or information, and they are keeping this, we can denounce these kind of actions. But I don't know, it depends of the country that we live or the person that lives. Also, Osman Dennis says, what contribution the technology has to offer in addressing the kinds of issues since it's been done through technology? I think that's the kind of contributions that technologies and platforms can have, like try to create some platforms or some tools that can help us to avoid this kind of actions, or maybe also the tools with privacy content or to denounce. They also have moderate content offices and emails, so we can denounce some some publications or some images, and they start like a little trial, administrative trial, to take the decisions to remove or to block or ban some people from the platform. So I think that's what they are working on now. And also, I think it's important to have this kind of conversation, like civil society, technical professionals, and also platforms representatives, because if people try to explain what are like the issues or what are the problems that they are experiencing or facing in internet or in their platforms, maybe together we can find like some ways to prevent this kind of problems. Also, Faith Leburu have asked for the floor. Go ahead, Faith.
Oh, hi everyone. I'm Faith and I'm from South Africa. So actually my contribution is going to speak to what Dennis is also asking regarding what technology can improve, So I'm of the view that we can actually kind of push, like organizations like ours, we can start pushing social media platforms to kind of create a policing forum where, like, just like now, whenever somebody can flag a post and report it, then they would remove it. But now they should take it a step further, where once somebody is being flagged, there should be a classification that this is a violation of human rights, or is something that has to do with gender-based violence. And then that particular profile should be actually banned completely, like the same way that they can ban somebody for life using a particular email address. So maybe they can advance a little bit and just find ways to prevent the same perpetrator from setting up different accounts. So maybe some kind of online police platform. But yeah, I think that is something that we can look into, how in our different regions or countries, how we can push our local authorities to put pressure on social media platforms within that region, so that they know that within this particular region, we don't allow certain types of comments or anything that is GBV related. And then, yeah, I think maybe we also just need to reach out to these platforms, because most of the times, I don't think there's much interaction between our kind of organizations and social media platforms. So yeah, that's just my contribution.
Thank you very much, Faith. And yeah, I forget to, yeah, that's exactly the way that I think we can start focus our fight against this kind of violence. Try to start this conversation and to push what we care or what we want to the governments and these kind of platforms, enterprises have to do to protect ourselves. And also, just to add, I just sent the link that the platform of Stop NCII about non-consensual intimate image abuses. So you can navigate and also use this platform, or maybe just to share with your friends or with your family, because it's something that maybe not two people know. So we have this kind of tools. And yeah, I think that's everything from me. It was a pleasure to talk with you. I have learned a lot about your comments and your participations. Thank you very much. I don't know if Michèle, you want to add something, and
No, Elizabeth, it's okay. Thank you.
okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much, everyone, and feel free to send us an email or just to talk with us. And it was nice to meet you virtually. Take care. Bye.
Thank you all.
Okay, bye everyone.